It is absolutely critical to realize that achieving truly great sleep requires meticulous, proactive preparation, much in the same way that a successful, productive, and well-organized day is carefully planned in advance. While virtually all of us are thoroughly accustomed to structuring and partitioning our daytime hours with calendars, detailed appointments, and timely reminders, it remains a surprisingly widespread oversight that so few people apply that same level of discipline, attention to detail, and intentionality when organizing the routines of their evenings and subsequently the structure of their night. By consciously and deliberately adding structure to your night, you gain essential, often overlooked control over your internal sleep environment and your complex physiological rest process, which ultimately serves as the unbreakable foundation for consistent, high-quality, and deeply restorative rest. It's imperative to understand that sleep is not some instantaneous reaction that can simply be summoned on command or flipped on like a light switch. It is a delicate biological process that demands a proper, dedicated period of winding down. Think of it in aviation terms. You need a long, clear, and prepared runway to land the plane smoothly and safely. Crucially, this essential preparation for the night must begin not when you first feel tired, but rather the very moment you wake up. While the pursuit of good sleep should not, of course, become an overwhelming source of anxiety or an obsession, incorporating the following 5 key, simple, yet powerful practices throughout your day will have a profound and dramatically measurable positive effect on the quality and duration of your night's rest. The initial and most fundamental step in your daily sleep preparation involves the strategic management of your caffeine intake. The foundational rule here is elegantly simple. You must hydrate before you caffeinate. When you first wake up in the morning, your body is naturally and physiologically flooded with high levels of 2 powerful chemicals, adrenaline and cortisol, which are incredibly potent alerting hormones responsible for your initial feelings of wakefulness and readiness. Adding caffeine immediately after waking provides almost no measurable additional boost because its stimulating effect is already being overshadowed and masked by these potent, naturally occurring chemicals. Instead, employ a highly effective strategy of a temporal delay. Wait approximately 90 minutes after you open your eyes. By this point, your natural cortisol and adrenaline levels will typically begin their normal, gentle daily descent, and consuming caffeine during this specific, critical window provides a much more significant, sustained, and efficient boost to alertness, effectively maximizing the return on your investment, giving you more bang for your buck, and preventing a later energy crash. Following this, you must prioritize getting sufficient morning light exposure. Make it a consistent, non-negotiable habit to step outside and soak up at least 15 minutes of genuine sunlight every morning. Sunlight is absolutely vital because, when it hits the eye, it stimulates specialized cells called melanopsin cells, which send a direct and unmistakable signal to your brain to turn off melatonin production. Melatonin is the indispensable hormone that initiates and regulates the entire sleep process, so suppressing it first thing in the morning is critical for setting your circadian rhythm accurately and strongly for the day. This powerful light exposure helps synchronize all your body's timing mechanisms. Moving through the day, consistent physical activity is one of the most straightforward, universally accessible, and highly effective methods available to improve overall sleep quality. You absolutely do not need to commit to grueling, professional-level athletic training. Incorporating just 15 to 20 minutes of moderate cardiovascular exercise daily is sufficient. Research consistently demonstrates that slightly fatiguing the body during the day leads to measurable and valuable improvements in the depth and efficiency of your sleep architecture at night. Furthermore, all-day hydration is a critical, non-negotiable factor, as adequate water intake supports the numerous complex physiological processes necessary for healthy sleep. The key here is prevention and pacing. Avoid the common pitfall of trying to play catch-up on your water intake late in the evening, as this is a frequent, easily avoidable cause of disruptive nighttime awakenings that force you to use the restroom. Plan your hydration to ensure you consume the vast majority of your daily fluids earlier in the day. A good indicator is aiming to finish your primary water bottle by lunchtime. Finally, a strict caffeine cutoff time must be enforced. You must acknowledge that caffeine is one of the biggest, most underestimated problems and a major obstacle to both efficiently falling asleep and consistently staying asleep. Given that caffeine possesses a notable half-life of 6 to 8 hours, meaning a substantial percentage of the amount you consume is still actively circulating and stimulating your system many hours later, you must enforce a strict consumption deadline of no later than 2 p.m. If your personal metabolism or schedule allows for it, setting this deadline even earlier, perhaps noon, is even better. This strict cutoff ensures that by the time you are ready for bed, the powerful stimulating effects have substantially worn off, thereby allowing for faster sleep onset and a deeper, more consolidated period of restorative rest. As you transition into the evening, you should embrace the mindset of gradual, sustainable change. The habit of the month philosophy encourages you to select just one of these new sleep habits to fully implement at the beginning of each month, focusing entirely on mastering it and integrating it seamlessly into your life before even attempting to add another. This prevents the feeling of being overwhelmed and leads to meaningful, sustainable lifestyle changes. You must be extremely mindful of alcohol consumption. While a drink may initially induce a feeling of sleepiness, alcohol is profoundly detrimental to genuine sleep quality, particularly disrupting the critical REM and deep sleep phases in the middle and end of the night. Consuming more than 2 standard drinks essentially acts as an anesthetic. You are not truly obtaining restorative sleep, but rather a state of unconsciousness. Moreover, alcohol is a toxin that triggers an increase in the stress hormone cortisol in your system, which is precisely the opposite of what you want elevated right before bed. To enjoy alcohol responsibly without sacrificing sleep, strictly limit yourself to 2 drinks. Use the highly effective strategy of interspersing each alcoholic drink with a full glass of water and ensure you completely stop drinking at least 3 full hours before your desired bedtime. Similarly, pay close attention to exercise timing. The physiological reason for limiting intense activity is rooted in thermoregulation. Working out too close to bedtime raises your core body temperature, making it significantly harder for it to naturally drop later, a crucial, non-negotiable prerequisite for the brain to release melatonin and smoothly initiate sleep. As a conservative general rule, you should limit strenuous exercise for about 4 hours before bed. Next, you must implement the structured, scheduled period known as the power down hour. Dedicate a full 60 minutes immediately preceding your target bedtime to actively wind down and disconnect from the day's stress. Set a specific alarm an hour before bed, e.g., 10 p.m. for an 11 p.m. bedtime, to serve as a non-negotiable reminder to commence your routine. This crucial hour should be divided into 3 distinct 20-minute segments. The first 20 minutes are for necessary to-dos, finish all outstanding tasks, check last-minute items, or prepare for the next day to prevent morning stress. The second segment is for essential hygiene, where you complete personal care like brushing your teeth and washing your face. As a practical and effective tip, remember that removing makeup earlier, say by 8 p.m., prevents unnecessary exposure to the harsh blue-rich light found in bathroom vanity mirrors during your wind-down time, which would actively suppress your naturally building melatonin levels. The final, and arguably most important 20 minutes, are strictly reserved for positive mental distraction. When you climb into bed, this is often the exact moment your mind decides to unleash all the day's pent-up thoughts, worries, and to-dos, which increases anxiety and heart rate. You must actively replace these thoughts by engaging in calming, repetitive relaxation techniques like meditation, reading a non-stimulating physical book, or listening to calming podcasts or music to transition your mind toward rest. Finally, a detailed assessment and optimization of your sleep environment is necessary. Temperature is paramount. Sleeping in the colder is always better for both initiating and sustaining sleep quality. A comfortable ambient temperature for most people is typically between 68 degrees Fahrenheit and 72 degrees Fahrenheit. You can personalize your cooling by sleeping with minimal clothing for better natural thermoregulation, or by strategically keeping your feet outside the covers, since they lack hair, to help you release excess heat easily. For a clever, low-tech hack, you can freeze a water bottle, Wrap it securely in a sock and place it by your hips or between your thighs for a small, localized air conditioner that cools your core temperature without disturbing a partner. Also, make sure to keep a notepad by your bedside. This allows you to quickly scribble down any brilliant business ideas or sudden stressful worries that surface as you try to fall asleep, effectively transferring them from your busy head to the paper so your mind can relax and disengage. When it comes to entertainment, passive viewing of television is sometimes acceptable for some individuals as a non-engaging, familiar distraction, provided it doesn't overly stimulate them. However, tablets and especially cell phones are strictly off limits in the bedroom. They emit intense blue light that actively suppresses melatonin and serve as a massive temptation to engage in disruptive late-night scrolling if you happen to wake up. Replace your phone with a simple, dedicated analog alarm clock to maintain a healthy, tech-free sleep zone. If you could only commit to one single recommendation, let it be this: stick to a consistent wake-up time every single day, including weekends. This simple, consistent commitment is the foundational element because your body contains nearly 300 different circadian clocks. Waking up at the same time daily ensures all these internal clocks are reliably synchronized, which forms the basis for predictable and high-quality sleep every single night.